Someone's uneducated maid wandered into the wrong place. Judge William Harrison's voice echoes through the federal courthouse lobby. Every lawyer, every official, every person in earshot turns to stare. The target of his disgust? Maya Carter, 17, black, wearing a simple cleaning uniform and clutching a manila folder against her chest. Security! Judge Harrison snaps his fingers like summoning a dog. Get this trash out of here before she steals something. Laughter ripples through the crowd of suits. Two guards move toward Maya, hands already reaching to grab her arms. She stands frozen as dozens of eyes judge her uniform, her age, her very existence. The judge adjusts his expensive watch, smirking. This is a place for real people with real business. Maya is dragged toward the exit like unwanted garbage. But what Judge Harrison doesn't see is the legal brief in her folder. What he doesn't know will destroy his career in less than 2 hours. Have you ever been called trash by someone in power? What happened next will leave you speechless. But let's rewind 12 hours to understand who Maya Carter really is, and why tomorrow will change everything. At 5 a.m., while most teenagers sleep off another night of social media and games, Maya sits at her tiny kitchen table surrounded by constitutional law textbooks. Her cramped apartment in East Baltimore tells two conflicting stories: industrial cleaning supplies stacked neatly by the front door, and advanced legal texts covering every available surface like intellectual armor against poverty. She's been awake since 4 a.m., studying federal court procedures before her cleaning shift begins. Maya Carter isn't just any 17-year-old struggling to make ends meet. She possesses a photographic memory that captures every detail, every conversation, every document she encounters in her invisible world of night cleaning jobs. While scrubbing floors at corporate offices, she memorizes the contracts left on desks. While emptying trash cans filled with discarded legal briefs, she studies appellate court decisions. While others see her as just another faceless service worker, she sees everything and remembers it all with perfect clarity. Her dream burns bright and specific: Harvard Law School, constitutional law practice, fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. Her current reality cuts that dream into manageable pieces: working 3 jobs to afford community college night classes, maintaining a perfect 4.0 GPA while her classmates sleep. Just 6 more months until the LSAT, she whispers to her father's photograph. The man who taught her that education could break any chain of generational poverty before cancer took him when she was 14. Her phone buzzes with the work alarm. Time for her morning shift at Chen Industries' downtown penthouse office. Robert Chen, the Taiwanese-American tech billionaire whose cloud computing company revolutionized how the world stores data, greets Maya the same way every Tuesday and Friday morning for 8 months. Good morning, Maya. Coffee's fresh in the kitchen if you want some. Most Fortune 500 executives barely acknowledge their cleaning staff exists. Chen treats Maya like a complete human being deserving of basic respect and dignity. Over months of early morning conversations while she organizes his office, he's shared struggles that never appear in Forbes profiles: the crushing pressure of running a company employing 12,000 families, the isolation that comes with unprecedented success, and lately, his growing confusion about federal fraud charges that threaten to destroy everything he's built. You're the only person who actually listens without wanting something, Chen confides as Maya files his documents with meticulous care. Politicians want campaign donations. Investors demand quarterly profit increases. Board members push aggressive expansion. Lawyers want billable hours. But you just listen and understand. During countless late nights cleaning his office, Maya has witnessed Chen's true character. She's seen him work until 3 a.m., personally reviewing employee healthcare benefits. She's read his private emails while filing them. Messages about funding full college scholarships for underprivileged immigrants, supporting families facing medical bankruptcies, quietly fighting for industry-wide worker protection standards that would cost his company millions in compliance. She knows something that federal prosecutors, expensive defense attorneys, and tomorrow's jury don't know. Robert Chen is fundamentally incapable of the white-collar crimes destroying his reputation. But who would believe the testimony of a teenage cleaning girl against the full weight of the federal justice system? 3 floors below Chen's penthouse office, in the marble halls of the federal courthouse, Judge William Harrison reviews tomorrow's criminal docket with predatory satisfaction. United States versus Chen. Conspiracy and fraud charges totaling $500 million, enough to guarantee life imprisonment for the defendant. Harrison's judicial reputation precedes him through the legal community like a toxic shadow. 22 years on the federal bench, known throughout Maryland for disproportionately harsh sentences that mysteriously fall heaviest on defendants of color. Defense attorneys privately call him the executioner for his systematic destruction of minority defendants. Local court statistics paint a damning picture that somehow never reaches ethics review boards. 93% harsher sentences for black defendants compared to white defendants charged with identical federal crimes. 47 formal discrimination complaints filed over 2 decades, all mysteriously buried through his extensive political connections and old boy judicial network protection. Another greedy immigrant who thinks he can steal from hard-working American citizens, Harrison mutters while reading Chen's case file with satisfaction. Time to remind these people what real justice looks like in my courtroom. Judge Harrison has already decided Chen's guilt before hearing a single witness. Tomorrow's trial represents mere legal theater before the predetermined verdict. What Harrison cannot possibly know is that Maya Carter has spent 8 months in Chen's office every Tuesday and Friday, methodically filing every document, inadvertently reading every email, and accidentally witnessing every private conversation. She's accumulated evidence that could completely exonerate Chen, if anyone in the federal justice system would listen to a girl wearing a cleaning uniform. The stage is perfectly set for an impossible collision between 3 separate worlds. Maya's extraordinary legal intelligence trapped within society's systematic blind spot, Chen's desperate innocence facing institutional prejudice, and Harrison's predetermined judicial verdict masquerading as impartial justice. Tomorrow morning, David will meet Goliath in a federal courtroom where truth and entrenched power will battle for the very soul of American justice. The morning of the trial arrives like a storm nobody saw coming. Maya stands outside the federal courthouse at 7 a.m., watching black town cars deposit Chen's expensive legal team. Kirkland and Ellis, the most prestigious firm money can buy. Partners billing $800 per hour who've never lost a white-collar case this big. But as Maya observes from her invisible position near the courthouse steps, she notices something terrifying. These lawyers don't know their client at all. Inside courtroom 7, the prosecution presents their case with the precision of a surgical strike. Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Williams stands before 12 jurors, her voice sharp with righteous indignation. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Chen didn't just steal $500 million from American investors. He betrayed the trust of an entire nation that welcomed him with open arms. Williams clicks her presentation remote, displaying damning financial charts across courtroom monitors. These wire transfers show systematic embezzlement spanning 3 years. Money that should have funded American jobs instead disappeared into offshore accounts. Maya recognizes those financial records immediately. She filed every single document 3 months ago while cleaning Chen's office late one Friday night. But something's wrong with the prosecution's timeline. Transfers they claim happened in March actually occurred in September, a detail that changes everything about motive and opportunity. Williams continues her devastating opening statement. The defendant exploited our immigration system, our business partnerships, and our fundamental American generosity. He saw our trust as weakness, our openness as opportunity for theft. The racial undertones aren't subtle. Several jurors nod approvingly as Williams paints Chen as the ungrateful foreigner who bit the hand that fed him. Maya's stomach churns, watching this systematic character assassination. Chen's defense team fumbles their response catastrophically. Lead attorney Jonathan Pierce clearly doesn't understand the technical details of his client's business operations. He stumbles through explanations of cloud computing infrastructure, mispronounces key financial terms, and completely misses the prosecution's timeline inconsistencies that Maya caught immediately. Your Honor, my client is innocent of these charges, Pierce declares with hollow confidence. We will prove that these financial irregularities resulted from accounting errors, not criminal intent. Maya wants to scream. Pierce doesn't realize he's arguing the wrong defense entirely. The financial transfers weren't accounting errors. They were legitimate business expenses that someone deliberately reclassified as embezzlement after the fact. Judge Harrison observes this legal malpractice with barely concealed satisfaction. His judicial bias reveals itself through consistently sustained prosecution objections and overruled defense motions. When Pierce attempts to introduce evidence of Chen's charitable work, Harrison immediately cuts him off. Mr. Pierce, we're here to discuss alleged crimes, not your client's public relations efforts. The prosecution calls their first witness, former Chen Industries Chief Financial Officer David Martinez, who took a plea deal to save himself from prosecution. Martinez testifies about secret offshore accounts and coded conversations about moving money internationally. Maya knows this testimony is technically true but completely misleading. She was present during those conversations while cleaning Chen's office. They were discussing legitimate tax planning for employee stock options, standard practice for tech companies. But Pierce's cross-examination is pathetically ineffective. Mr. Chen did discuss offshore financial strategies with you, correct? Pierce asks, thinking he's being clever. Yes, he was very interested in moving money overseas quickly, Martinez responds gravely. Maya watches in horror as Chen's own lawyer accidentally validates the prosecution's narrative through ignorant questioning. Pierce doesn't understand the difference between tax avoidance and money laundering. During the lunch recess, Maya overhears a devastating conversation between two veteran court reporters in the hallway. This one's already over, the first reporter says quietly. Harrison's decided the verdict before hearing evidence. I've seen this pattern dozens of times. Poor bastard doesn't know what hit him, the second agrees. Harrison's conviction rate for minority defendants is literally perfect. 22 years, not one acquittal. Maya realizes she's witnessing more than Chen's trial. She's watching systematic judicial racism destroying an innocent man. The economic stakes for Maya's own future grow more desperate by the hour. Her mother calls during the afternoon recess with devastating news. Their landlord is raising rent by $300 monthly. Without Maya's cleaning income, they'll face eviction within 60 days. Baby, I know you care about your boss, but we can't afford for you to miss work, her mother pleads over the phone. Your little brother needs new school clothes. The electricity bill is overdue. We need every dollar you can earn. Maya stares at her phone after hanging up. Speaking up for Chen could cost her this job, which means losing the income that funds her college dreams and keeps her family housed. Staying silent means watching an innocent man get destroyed by a corrupt system. That afternoon, the prosecution called their star witness, former Chen Industries accountant Michael Torres, who claims Chen personally ordered him to falsify financial records. Torres testifies with rehearsed precision about secret meetings and coded conversations. Maya knows Torres is lying because she cleaned his office too. She's seen his gambling debts, his desperate financial situation, his recent divorce settlement that left him bankrupt. She's also seen the emails between Torres and prosecutors offering him immunity in exchange for testimony. But Pierce's cross-examination is pathetically ineffective. He doesn't challenge Torres's credibility, doesn't expose his financial motives, doesn't question the timeline of his supposed conversations with Chen. No further questions, Your Honor, Pierce concludes after barely 10 minutes. Maya wants to run to the front of the courtroom and scream the truth. She has Torres's bank records showing massive gambling losses. She has his divorce papers proving financial desperation. She has his emails to prosecutors offering to remember conversations in exchange for immunity. Instead, she sits invisibly in her cleaning uniform while an innocent man gets railroaded by the justice system. The day ends with Chen looking defeated for the first time since Maya's known him. His wife holds his hand in the courtroom gallery, tears streaming down her face as she realizes her husband is losing a battle he never had a fair chance to fight. That evening, Maya returns to her tiny apartment and spreads Chen's case files across her kitchen table, documents she's photocopied during months of cleaning his office. The evidence is overwhelming and crystal clear to anyone who understands the business. Her younger siblings sleep in the next room, depending on her income for basic survival. Her college acceptance letter sits framed on the wall, representing everything she's worked toward since her father's death. Maya's phone buzzes with a text from her mother. "The landlord wants an answer by tomorrow. Can you work extra shifts this week? Some choices define who you become forever." Maya Carter stares at a photograph of her father who taught her that justice matters more than safety, and makes her decision at 2 a.m. Tomorrow, she'll risk everything. Maya Carter stands in her tiny bathroom at 5 a.m., staring at her reflection in the cracked mirror. Dark circles under her eyes tell the story of a sleepless night spent wrestling with an impossible decision. Her cleaning uniform hangs on the door hook like a symbol of everything society expects her to be. Invisible, silent, powerless. But today, that changes. "Some moments define who you become," she whispers to her reflection, remembering her father's words from years ago when neighborhood bullies called her stupid for reading law books instead of watching television. Maya reaches past her uniform and pulls out her one good dress, navy blue, purchased secondhand for high school graduation. As she changes clothes, she's not just switching outfits. She's transforming from invisible to visible, from powerless to powerful, from victim to victor. Her mother finds her in the kitchen, surrounded by legal documents and handwritten notes covering every surface. "Maya, baby, what is all this?" Her mother's voice carries worry and confusion as she surveys the organized chaos of case files, constitutional law citations, and timeline charts. "It's justice, Mama. Or at least it's going to be. You can't miss work today. We need that money, and Mr. Chen can afford fancy lawyers. We can't afford to lose your job over someone else's problems." Maya looks at her mother, a woman who cleaned office buildings for 20 years, who taught Maya that survival meant staying invisible, who sacrificed everything so her daughter could dream bigger dreams. "Mama, remember what Daddy used to say? When you see wrong and do nothing, you become part of the wrong." Her mother's eyes fill with tears because she knows her daughter has inherited her father's stubborn moral courage, along with his brilliant mind. Maya spends the next 3 hours at the public library using their computers to research federal court procedures with laser focus. She discovers Federal Rule 614, which allows courts to call witnesses not listed by either party when they possess material knowledge unavailable elsewhere. She finds the precedent case that will save her. United States versus Morrison, 1987, where the Ninth Circuit affirmed a cleaning lady's right to testify about corporate fraud she witnessed while working night shifts. The legal principle is clear. Material witness testimony cannot be excluded based on the witness's employment status or social position. Maya memorizes every detail of the Morrison decision, practicing the exact legal language she'll need to invoke her right to testify. She studies the federal rules of evidence until she can recite them perfectly. Most importantly, she organizes her evidence chronologically with timestamps that match courthouse security logs. At 11 a.m., Maya approaches the courthouse with a manila folder containing photographs, timeline charts, and legal citations that could save Robert Chen's life. Her hands shake slightly, but her resolve is absolute. She spots Pierce, Chen's lead attorney, on the courthouse steps arguing frantically with his junior associates. Their panic is visible from 50 feet away. Maya takes a deep breath and approaches the group of expensive suits. "Excuse me, Mr. Pierce?" Pierce turns, clearly annoyed at being interrupted by what he assumes is a random courthouse visitor. Yes? We're quite busy preparing for court. My name is Maya Carter. I have material evidence that could prove Mr. Chen's innocence. Pierce barely glances at her, taking in her youth, her simple dress, her obvious lack of wealth or social status. Little girl, this isn't a game. We're dealing with serious federal charges here. I'm not playing games, sir. I've been cleaning Mr. Chen's office twice weekly for 8 months. I've witnessed conversations, filed documents, and photographed evidence that your current defense strategy is missing entirely. Something in Maya's precise language makes Pierce pause. His associate whispers urgently in his ear, pointing out that Maya just used specific legal terminology correctly. You're the cleaning girl from Chen's office, Pierce asks with growing interest. I'm a pre-law student who works cleaning jobs to fund my education. I have a photographic memory and comprehensive knowledge of Mr. Chen's business operations that could save his life. Maya opens her folder and shows Pierce the financial timeline discrepancies, the witness credibility problems, and the documented evidence of prosecutorial misconduct that his team has missed. Pierce's eyes widen as he realizes this teenager understands the case better than his million-dollar legal team. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Maya's response cuts through his professional arrogance like a blade. Because until yesterday, no one asked the cleaning staff for legal opinions, Mr. Pierce. The lawyers exchange shocked glances. They're discovering that their case's salvation has been invisible in plain sight, dismissed because of her age, her race, and her uniform. There's a problem, Pierce's associate interjects. It's too late to add her to our witness list. The judge won't allow new witnesses this close to closing arguments. Maya pulls out her legal research, showing them Federal Rule 614 and the Morrison precedent. I don't need to be on your witness list. I can testify as a court-called witness if I can prove material knowledge unavailable from other sources. Pierce stares at Maya with growing amazement. You researched federal court procedure? I researched everything, Mr. Pierce. Constitutional law, rules of evidence, appellate precedents, and witness testimony requirements. I've spent my entire life preparing for this moment without knowing it. The lawyers huddle quickly, realizing that Maya might be their only chance to save Chen from life imprisonment. The risk is enormous, Pierce warns. If Judge Harrison refuses to let you testify, you'll have exposed yourself for nothing. If he allows it but you can't handle cross-examination, you could make everything worse. Maya thinks of Chen's wife crying in the courtroom gallery, of her own family facing eviction, of her father's voice teaching her that courage isn't the absence of fear, but action despite fear. Mr. Pierce, I've been invisible my entire life. Today I became visible. Win or lose, I can live with fighting for justice. I can't live with staying silent while an innocent man gets destroyed. Pierce nods slowly, recognizing something rare and powerful in this 17-year-old girl who just offered to risk everything for someone else's salvation. Let's go change history, Maya. Maya takes her seat in the back row of courtroom 7, her manila folder clutched against her chest like armor. The prosecution is presenting what they believe will be their knockout blow, the smoking gun evidence that will seal Chen's fate forever. Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Williams approaches the evidence table with theatrical confidence, holding up a document that makes the jury lean forward in anticipation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment when Robert Chen revealed his true criminal nature, Williams announces, her voice echoing through the packed courtroom. What you're about to see is Mr. Chen's personal signature authorizing the transfer of $50 million to an untraceable Cayman Islands account. The document appears on courtroom monitors, blown up for everyone to see. Chen's signature appears at the bottom of a wire transfer authorization dated March 15th, 11:47 p.m. The amount, $50 million. The destination, Caribbean Financial Holdings, a shell company with no legitimate business purpose. This signature, Williams continues dramatically, represents the defendant's personal authorization of grand larceny, his own handwriting condemning him to federal prison. Maya's photographic memory activates like lightning striking her consciousness. March 15th, 11:47 p.m. She knows that date, that time, that exact moment with crystal clarity. She was there. Maya's mind races back 3 months to that specific Friday night. She'd been working late in Chen's building, finishing the quarterly deep cleaning of the executive offices. Chen had already gone home hours earlier. She remembered because he'd wished her a good weekend before leaving at 6 p.m. But someone else was in the building that night, someone who had no business being there. Maya remembers standing in the supply closet on the 15th floor, organizing cleaning chemicals, when she heard voices from Chen's office. Strange, because Chen never worked past 7 p.m. on Fridays. He had a standing dinner date with his wife every Friday evening at their favorite restaurant. Curiosity had drawn Maya to peek around the corner. Through Chen's glass office door, she'd seen Deputy Prosecutor Williams hunched over Chen's desk, carefully practicing signatures with Chen's personal pen. Next to Williams sat Michael Torres, the accountant who would later become the prosecution's star witness. Maya had watched in shock as Williams forged Chen's signature multiple times on practice papers until she got it perfect. Then Torres handed her the real wire transfer authorization, and Williams signed Chen's name with criminal precision. "Perfect," Torres had whispered. "Nobody will question his signature on his own letterhead." "The timestamp shows 11:47 p.m., Williams had replied while admiring her forgery. "Security cameras will confirm Chen left hours ago. He'll never be able to prove he didn't authorize this transfer." Maya had stood frozen in the hallway, witnessing the birth of a criminal conspiracy designed to frame an innocent man. But she was just a cleaning girl. Who would believe her word against a federal prosecutor? Now, 3 months later, that forged signature is being presented as evidence of Chen's guilt. Maya's heart pounds as she realizes she holds the key to Chen's salvation. She has more than eyewitness testimony. She has photographic proof. That night, Maya had instinctively taken pictures with her phone. Not because she suspected anything criminal, but because she'd been documenting maintenance issues throughout the building for her supervisor's report. Her photos from that evening show the timestamp, the office location, and most importantly, they capture Williams and Torres in Chen's office during the exact time the signature was allegedly created. Maya pulls out her phone and scrolls to March 15th. The photos are all there, crystal clear and time-stamped. Williams bent over Chen's desk. Torres watched nervously. The practice signature sheets scattered across the desk. The final forged document in Williams's hand. The security footage would corroborate her story perfectly. The courthouse maintains cameras in all office buildings within a 6-block radius as part of post-9/11 security protocols. Those cameras would show Chen leaving his building at 6:03 p.m., while also showing Williams and Torres entering through the parking garage at 11:15 p.m. Maya realizes that Williams chose that specific time because she thought no one would witness the forgery. The building would be empty except for security guards who patrolled different floors on rotating schedules. Williams knew the cleaning staff worked late, but she also knew that people in power don't notice people who empty their trash cans. Williams had counted on Maya's invisibility. She'd committed the perfect crime in front of the perfect witness, someone whose testimony would be dismissed as unworthy of consideration. But Williams made one crucial mistake. She assumed that cleaning staff are stupid, uneducated, and incapable of understanding what they witness. She never imagined that Maya Carter possesses a photographic memory, legal education, and the moral courage to speak truth to power. Maya looks across the courtroom at Williams, who stands confidently before the jury, completely unaware that her criminal conspiracy is about to be exposed by the teenage girl she dismissed as irrelevant. Chen sits at the defense table looking defeated, believing that his own signature has condemned him. His expensive lawyers shuffle papers helplessly, unable to challenge evidence that appears authentic and damning. Judge Harrison observes the proceedings with satisfaction, already mentally crafting the harsh sentence he'll impose after the inevitable guilty verdict. None of them know that Maya Carter holds the golden key to justice, photographic evidence of the crime that framed an innocent man. Maya takes a deep breath and prepares to shatter their world. The moment arrives like thunder after lightning. As Assistant District Attorney Williams concludes her presentation of the forged signature evidence, Maya Carter rises from the back row of courtroom 7. Her movement cuts through the courtroom's tense atmosphere like a blade through silk. Every head turns. Conversations stop mid-sentence. Even the court stenographer pauses her typing to stare at the young black woman in the simple navy dress, walking purposefully toward the bailiff's station. Maya's voice carries clearly through the stunned silence. Your Honor, I have material testimony regarding evidence fraud that directly impacts this case. Judge Harrison's face immediately darkens with recognition and rage. Bailiff, remove this girl from my courtroom immediately. Security should have handled this disruption days ago. But Maya doesn't flinch. Instead, she addresses the court with the precise language of someone who has spent sleepless nights memorizing federal procedure. Your Honor, I respectfully invoke Federal Rule 614, subsection A, which grants the court discretionary power to call material witnesses who possess knowledge unavailable from other sources. The courtroom erupts in shocked murmurs. Defense attorneys exchange amazed glances. Prosecutors whisper frantically among themselves. Even the most experienced court reporters have never seen a teenager cite federal rules from memory while facing down a hostile judge. Judge Harrison's voice rises to a roar. You are completely out of order, young lady. This is a federal courtroom, not a high school debate class. Maya's response cuts through his bluster with surgical precision. No, sir, I am invoking established legal precedent. United States versus Morrison, 1987, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The court affirmed that material witness testimony cannot be excluded based on the witness's employment status, age, or social position. The judge's mouth opens and closes like a fish gasping for air. He clearly didn't expect legal citations from someone he dismissed as ignorant help. Pierce, Chen's lead attorney, finally recognizes the lifeline being thrown to his drowning case. He jumps to his feet with newfound energy. Your Honor, the defense supports this witness's motion to testify. She clearly possesses material knowledge relevant to the evidence just presented. Williams frantically objects, her voice pitched high with panic. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. This witness isn't on any approved list. She's clearly coached and attempting to disrupt legitimate proceedings. Maya turns to face Williams directly, her voice steady and fearless. Ma'am, I haven't been coached by anyone. But I was present in Mr. Chen's office on March 15th at 11:47 p.m., and I witnessed you forge the signature you just presented as evidence. The courtroom explodes into chaos. Jurors gasp audibly. Reporters scramble for their phones. Williams' face drains of all color as she realizes her perfect crime is unraveling in real time. Judge Harrison gavels furiously for order, but Maya continues speaking with the unstoppable force of truth, finally given voice. I have photographic evidence of the forgery in progress, time-stamped documentation, and I can direct the court to security footage that will corroborate every detail of my testimony. This is preposterous, Williams shouts desperately. Your Honor, this girl is clearly delusional. She's a cleaning person with no legal training, no credibility, no standing to... Maya interrupts with quiet authority. Ma'am, I'm a pre-law student with a 4.0 GPA studying constitutional law at Baltimore Community College. I work cleaning jobs to fund my education, but my employment doesn't disqualify my eyewitness testimony under federal rules of evidence. Judge Harrison realizes he's trapped. Every lawyer in the courtroom knows that Maya has correctly cited established precedent. Refusing to allow her testimony would create grounds for immediate appeal and possible mistrial. Your Honor, Pierce adds quickly, the defense formally requests that this witness be sworn in under Rule 614. Her testimony appears directly relevant to the authenticity of evidence presented by the prosecution. Williams makes one last, desperate attempt. She's clearly been planted by the defense. This is a calculated disruption designed to... Maya pulls out her phone and displays the timestamp photos for the court to see. Your Honor, these photographs were taken 3 months ago on the night in question. Metadata will confirm they haven't been altered. Security logs will show I was scheduled to work that evening. Building cameras will corroborate my presence and the presence of the individuals I witnessed committing forgery. The judge looks at Maya with a mixture of shock, anger, and grudging respect. This teenage girl has just systematically dismantled every legal objection to her testimony while maintaining perfect courtroom decorum. Young lady, Harrison says slowly, state your full name and qualifications for the record. Maya Elizabeth Carter, Your Honor. I'm a 17-year-old pre-law student with a perfect academic record and 8 months of regular employment in the defendant's office building. I possess photographic memory and comprehensive knowledge of the events surrounding the evidence in question. The silence in courtroom 7 becomes absolute. Maya Carter, the invisible cleaning girl who was dismissed and insulted, has just forced the federal justice system to acknowledge her intelligence, her credibility, and her right to speak truth to power. Judge Harrison realizes that his predetermined verdict is about to be challenged by the last person he ever expected, the young black woman he tried to have removed from his courthouse 3 days ago. Miss Carter, he says with visible reluctance, approaches the witness stand. Bailiff, swear her in. Maya walks forward with quiet dignity, her head held high, ready to save an innocent man and expose a corrupt system. The real trial is about to begin. Judge Harrison calls an immediate recess, his gavel striking with unusual force as he struggles to maintain control of his courtroom. The chaos is unprecedented. Reporters scrambling toward exits, lawyers whispering frantically into cell phones, jurors staring in shock at the teenage girl who just accused a federal prosecutor of criminal forgery. All parties will meet in my chambers immediately, Harrison barks, his voice betraying the first cracks in his judicial authority. Bailiff, secure that evidence. The court will reconvene pending review. Maya remains seated in the witness stand, surrounded by the storm she's unleashed but anchored by unshakable moral certainty. She watches Assistant District Attorney Williams huddle desperately with her prosecution team, their confident facade crumbling. In the judge's chambers, Williams launches a vicious counterattack designed to destroy Maya's credibility before her testimony can proceed further. Your Honor, this is obviously coordinated defense theater designed to create reasonable doubt through character assassination, Williams argues, her voice tight with controlled panic. They're using an emotionally sympathetic witness, a young minority woman, to make wild accusations against federal prosecutors. Pierce pushes back hard. Your Honor, Miss Carter has presented specific evidence with verifiable timestamps. These aren't wild accusations. They're documented facts that can be independently corroborated through security footage. Judge Harrison examines Maya's phone photographs with growing unease. The images clearly show Williams and Torres in Chen's office at the exact time the wire transfer authorization was allegedly signed. The metadata confirms the photos haven't been altered. Miss Carter, Harrison says slowly, these are serious allegations. Do you understand the implications of accusing Ms. Williams of criminal conduct? Maya meets the judge's gaze without flinching. Your Honor, I understand that evidence tampering and prosecutorial misconduct violate federal law. I'm prepared to testify under oath about everything I witnessed. Williams realizes she's fighting for her career and freedom. Your Honor, I request immediate investigation into how this witness obtained these photographs. Taking pictures in a private office without consent could constitute criminal surveillance. Maya responds with devastating calm. Ma'am, I was performing assigned cleaning duties in a building where I'm legally employed. Taking photographs of maintenance issues is part of my job responsibilities. I wasn't conducting surveillance. I was documenting building conditions while you committed felony forgery. The temperature in chambers drops 10 degrees. Maya has just called a federal prosecutor a felon to her face, backed by photographic evidence and unshakable composure. Pierce presses his advantage. Your Honor, we request immediate access to building security footage from March 15th. Those cameras will show Ms. Williams and Mr. Torres entering the building during the time period in question, while confirming that Mr. Chen left hours earlier. Williams objects frantically. Security footage from 3 months ago has likely been destroyed. This is a fishing expedition designed to create delays. Maya speaks up quietly. Your Honor, federal buildings are required to maintain security archives for 6 months under post-9/11 protocols. The footage exists and will corroborate my testimony completely. Harrison looks at Maya with growing amazement. This 17-year-old knows federal security requirements better than seasoned attorneys. We'll examine the security footage immediately, the judge decides. The court will reconvene in 2 hours pending review of this evidence. As lawyers file out, Williams approaches Maya in the hallway with barely controlled fury. Her mask of prosecutorial professionalism finally slips completely. Listen to me, you little nobody, Williams hisses, her voice low and threatening. Do you have any idea what you're playing with? I can destroy your entire future with a single phone call. College applications, job prospects, your family situation, I can make all of it disappear. Maya looks up at the federal prosecutor who towers over her and responds with quiet strength. Ma'am? My father taught me that sometimes doing the right thing costs everything, but doing the wrong thing costs your soul. Your noble father isn't here to pay your bills or protect your family, Williams snarls. I'm offering you one chance to walk away, recant your testimony, claim you were confused, and I'll protect your little cleaning job. And if I refuse? Williams's smile turns predatory. Then I'll ensure Robert Chen goes to prison for life. Your testimony gets discredited as perjured fantasy, and your family learns what happens when nobody children try to destroy their betters. Maya stares at Williams, seeing clearly the corrupt system she's challenging. Ms. Williams, Maya says with absolute finality, I'd rather be a nobody who tells the truth than somebody who builds power on lies. In 90 minutes, security footage will either vindicate Maya's testimony or destroy her credibility forever. Maya walks to the courthouse chapel, preparing for the fight of her life. 2 hours later, courtroom 7 fills with electric tension as Judge Harrison reconvenes the session. The security footage has been reviewed, and everyone knows that Maya Carter's moment of truth has arrived. Miss Carter, Harrison announces with visible reluctance, you may continue your testimony. I remind you that you are under oath and that perjury is a federal crime. Maya takes a deep breath and begins with devastating precision. Your Honor, on March 15th at approximately 11:45 p.m., I witnessed Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Williams forge Mr. Chen's signature on the wire transfer authorization currently being presented as evidence of his guilt. The courtroom erupts, but Maya's voice cuts through the chaos. I was performing my assigned cleaning duties on the 15th floor when I heard voices from Mr. Chen's office. This was unusual because Mr. Chen always leaves by 6 p.m. on Fridays for dinner with his wife. Williams jumps to her feet. Objection! This is hearsay and speculation about my client's schedule. Overruled, Harrison responds, surprising everyone. The witness may continue. Maya pulls out her phone and displays the time-stamped photographs. I observed Ms. Williams practicing Mr. Chen's signature multiple times on blank paper before signing the actual wire transfer document. Mr. Torres was present, coaching her on the proper pen pressure and letter formation. The prosecution table erupts in frantic whispers, but Maya continues relentlessly. At 11:47 p.m., Ms. Williams successfully forged Mr. Chen's signature on the authorization document. Mr. Torres then said, "Perfect. Nobody will question his signature on his own letterhead." Williams launches into aggressive cross-examination, her voice sharp with desperation. Miss Carter, isn't it true that you're failing your community college classes and desperately need money? No, ma'am. I maintain a 4.0 GPA and have made the dean's list 4 consecutive semesters. You're working multiple jobs because your family is in financial trouble, correct? I work to fund my education and support my family, yes. But I've never accepted money from Mr. Chen beyond my hourly cleaning wage of $12. Williams tries a different angle. You're obviously coached by the defense team. How else would you know specific legal terminology? Maya's response devastates the prosecution. Ma'am, I study constitutional law, criminal procedure, and federal rules of evidence. I'm preparing for law school, not learning scripts from attorneys. You expect this court to believe that a teenage cleaning girl understands complex financial crimes. Maya leans forward with quiet confidence. Ma'am, I may clean offices, but I read everything I file. The wire transfer patterns you've presented show artificial velocity designed to obscure transaction origins. A classic money laundering technique. However, the timestamps prove these weren't Mr. Chen's transactions because he wasn't present during their execution. The courtroom falls silent. Maya has just demonstrated sophisticated understanding of financial fraud that rivals expert witnesses. Williams, growing desperate, attacks Maya's credibility directly. Isn't it convenient that you supposedly photographed this alleged forgery? Did you plan this testimony months in advance? No, ma'am. I photograph maintenance issues throughout my cleaning shifts for my supervisor's reports. That night, I documented water damage in the ceiling tiles, burned out light fixtures, and carpet stains requiring attention. Ms. Williams and Mr. Torres happened to be in the frame because they were committing crimes in the office I was assigned to clean. Pierce stands for redirect examination. Miss Carter, please explain to the jury why you remember this specific evening so clearly. Maya's voice carries absolute conviction. Because I witnessed 2 officers of the court deliberately framing an innocent man. Mr. Chen treats his employees with respect and dignity. He funds college scholarships for immigrant families, provides health care for part-time workers, and personally reviews every employee termination to ensure fairness. The man I observed couldn't possibly commit the crimes being alleged against him. How can you be certain the signature was forged? Because I've filed hundreds of documents bearing Mr. Chen's real signature over 8 months. His natural signature slants left and uses light pressure. The forged signature slants right with heavy pressure, classic indicators of deliberate imitation. Williams makes one final desperate attempt. Your Honor, this witness is clearly lying to protect her employer. She's been manipulated by the defense. Maya turns to face Williams directly, her voice steady and fearless. Ma'am, the security footage shows you entering the building at 11:15 p.m. and leaving at 12:23 a.m. on March 15th. It shows Mr. Chen leaving at 6:03 p.m. The building's electronic key logs confirm you used an unauthorized access card. The metadata on my photographs is unalterable proof of timestamp accuracy. The silence in courtroom 7 becomes absolute as Maya delivers her final statement. I'm 17 years old. I work 3 jobs to afford community college, and until 3 days ago, I was invisible to everyone in this courthouse. But I've spent my entire life preparing for this moment without knowing it. The moment when truth confronts power, and someone has to choose between safety and justice. Maya looks directly at Judge Harrison. Your Honor, I choose justice. The silence in courtroom 7 stretches like a held breath before Judge Harrison makes the decision that will change everything. Bailiff, bring in the security footage immediately. We're going to resolve this matter right now. The courtroom monitors flicker to life, displaying grainy but clear security camera footage from March 15th. The timestamp shows 6:03 p.m. as Robert Chen exits his office building, briefcase in hand, walking toward his car to meet his wife for their weekly dinner date. The footage fast-forwards to 11:15 p.m. Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Williams enters through the parking garage using an electronic key card that should not exist. Michael Torres follows 30 seconds behind her, glancing nervously around the empty lobby. Maya's voice narrates what everyone can see. There's Ms. Williams using an unauthorized access card to enter the building 5 hours after Mr. Chen left for the evening. The cameras switch to the 15th floor hallway. At 11:43 p.m., Williams and Torres enter Chen's office. The footage shows them hunched over the desk, Williams practicing signatures while Torres coaches her technique. At exactly 11:47 p.m., the timestamp on the wire transfer authorization, Williams signs the final document with Chen's forged signature. The cameras capture Maya in the background, organizing cleaning supplies in the hallway supply closet, her phone visible as she documents building maintenance issues. Her presence corroborates every detail of her testimony. Williams' face drains of all color as she watches her criminal conspiracy play out in real time on federal courthouse monitors. Torres, realizing his plea deal is worthless, begins shaking visibly at the prosecution table. Judge Harrison's voice cuts through the stunned silence. Ms. Williams, do you care to explain why you were in Mr. Chen's office at nearly midnight 3 months before this trial began? Williams tries one desperate lie. Your Honor, I was conducting legitimate investigative research with proper authorization. Maya stands up in the witness box. Your Honor, the footage shows Ms. Williams practicing signatures for 17 minutes before successfully forging the document she presented as evidence today. That's not investigation. That's evidence fabrication. The dam finally breaks. Torres jumps to his feet, his voice cracking with panic. I want to change my testimony. I want to tell the truth. She made me lie. Williams threatened to prosecute me for my gambling debts if I didn't cooperate. Williams screams at Torres, Shut up, you idiot! You're destroying everything. But it's too late. The truth floods out like water through a burst levee. Torres confesses to the jury that Williams orchestrated the entire conspiracy, using his financial desperation to force his cooperation in framing Chen. Judge Harrison's gavel thunders, Ms. Williams, you are in contempt of court. Bailiff placed Ms. Williams under arrest for evidence tampering, perjury, and prosecutorial misconduct. The courtroom erupts as federal marshals approach Williams with handcuffs. She struggles against their grip, her professional composure completely shattered. This is insane! You can't believe a cleaning girl over a federal prosecutor. Maya's quiet voice cuts through Williams's hysterics. Ma'am, justice doesn't see cleaning uniforms. It only sees the truth. Williams is dragged from the courtroom in handcuffs, screaming threats and accusations that fall on deaf ears. The conspiracy that seemed so perfect 3 months ago crumbles in minutes because of evidence provided by the invisible girl they never bothered to notice. Judge Harrison turns to Chen with visible reluctance but unmistakable authority. Mr. Chen, all charges against you are hereby dismissed with prejudice. The court apologizes for the prosecutorial misconduct you have endured. Chen's wife collapses in tears of relief in the gallery. His defense team stares in amazement at the miraculous salvation delivered by a teenager they'd dismissed as irrelevant. But the most powerful moment comes when Judge Harrison addresses Maya directly. Miss Carter, I owe you a personal apology that extends far beyond this courtroom. 3 days ago, I judged you by your uniform instead of your character. I called you ignorant when you possess more legal wisdom than attorneys twice your age. I dismissed your worth based on your appearance, your age, and my own prejudice. Harrison removes his judicial robe, speaking to Maya as one human being to another. You have shown extraordinary courage in confronting corruption at the highest levels of our justice system. You risked everything to save an innocent man, and in doing so, you've reminded this court what justice actually means. Maya's response carries the dignity of someone who has transformed from invisible to unforgettable. Your Honor, I didn't do this for recognition. I did it because my father taught me that when you see wrong and stay silent, you become part of the wrong. The courtroom breaks into spontaneous applause as news cameras capture the moment when a 17-year-old cleaning girl brought down a corrupt federal prosecutor and saved an innocent man's life. Chen approaches Maya with tears in his eyes. "Maya, I can never repay what you've done for me, but I want to fund your complete legal education. Full scholarship to any law school that accepts you." Maya's acceptance comes with characteristic generosity. "Mr. Chen, I'll accept on one condition, that we create scholarships for other students who clean offices while dreaming of justice." As Maya walks out of the courthouse, no longer invisible but powerfully present, she carries with her the knowledge that one person's courage can change everything. 3 months later, Maya Carter walks through the same courthouse doors, but everything has changed. Instead of a cleaning uniform, she wears a crisp business suit. Instead of being invisible, she's recognized and respected by every lawyer and court officer in the building. "Miss Carter," a reporter calls out, "how does it feel to be starting your first year at Georgetown Law School?" Maya pauses on the courthouse steps, the same place where Judge Harrison once tried to have her removed. "It feels like proof that your worth isn't determined by your uniform or other people's prejudices. It's determined by your courage to stand up for what's right." Inside the courthouse, Judge Harrison approaches Maya with genuine warmth. Their relationship has transformed completely since that morning when his bias nearly destroyed an innocent man's life. "Maya, your courage didn't just save Robert Chen. It forced me to confront my own prejudices. I've begun reviewing cases where my sentences may have been influenced by unconscious bias." Maya smiles at the man who once called her an uneducated maid. "Your Honor, we all have the capacity to grow. That's what makes justice possible. Robert Chen has established the Maya Carter Justice Scholarship, providing full college funding for students who work cleaning jobs while pursuing their dreams. 23 recipients have already benefited from Maya's courage. Rebecca Williams was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Her conviction led to a federal investigation that overturned 37 wrongful convictions and resulted in widespread judicial reforms. Maya's story has become required reading in law schools across the country, teaching future attorneys that justice depends not on power or privilege, but on courage to speak truth regardless of personal cost. At 17, Maya Carter proved that one person's courage can defeat any conspiracy and change the course of justice itself. She transformed from a dismissed cleaning girl to a respected law student. But her greatest achievement was realizing she had always possessed the power to change the world. Maya's story reminds us that heroes aren't born in privilege. They're forged when ordinary people make extraordinary choices for justice. The next time you see someone in a uniform or any job society considers invisible, remember Maya Carter. Remember that brilliance can bloom anywhere, and justice depends on ordinary people doing extraordinary things. What would you do if you witnessed injustice? Would you stay silent or speak up like Maya? Would you judge someone by appearance or look deeper to see their worth? Maya's story proves that every one of us has the power to change the world. We just have to be brave enough to use it. If this inspired you, share it with someone who needs to remember their power. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more stories of ordinary people achieving extraordinary justice. Your voice matters. Your courage counts. Your moment to change everything might be closer than you think.